in this equation, we have fractions, so we want to look at those denominators and multiply both sides of the equal sign by the denominators, then all the fractions will go away. So in this one, I have w minus 4 and I have w minus 1. They're different, so I'm going to multiply both sides by those denominators. Now on the right side, I'm going to have to distribute the blue times the negative 4 and then the blue times this fraction. But over here, I can just multiply them together right away. So if I take the blue times this fraction, the w plus 4 here is going to cancel this w plus 4. So I'm going to have left a negative, a 3, and a w minus 1. Okay, so there we have that. Let me bring down the equal sign. Now if I take the blue here times negative 4, nothing cancels. So I've got all of that. So I'm going to have negative 4 times w plus 4 times w minus 1. But when I take the blue times this fraction, the w minus 1 is going to cancel that w minus 1. So I'm still going to have a negative 7, and I'm also going to have a w plus 4. Okay, so next we're going to start simplifying each side. So I could distribute this negative 3 through here. And that is going to give me negative 3w plus 3. Bring down the equal sign. Now right here I can simplify a few different ways, but I prefer to FOIL these together and then multiply the answer by negative 4. So if I FOIL this together, w times w is w squared, outer is negative w, inner is 4w, so negative w and 4w make 3w, and then 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. I can distribute the negative 7 through. Negative 7 times w is negative 7w, and negative 7 times positive 4 is negative 28. Okay, now I need to go ahead and distribute this negative 4 through. So if I do that, I end up with this. I'm going to bring everything else down. So let's bring down the negative 7w minus 28, and then let's bring down what we have on the left side. We could combine a few things. So over here, I can take negative 12w and negative 7w and make that negative 19w. And 16 minus 28 is negative 12. Just bring down the left side again. Okay, finally, we've got both sides simplified. So to finish solving, we want to move everything to the same side and set it equal to 0. We're hoping to factor, but worst case scenario, we would use the quadratic formula. Since I am hoping to factor, I really like the leading coefficient to be positive to make it easier to factor. So I'm going to move things to the left, starting by adding 4w squared, and then I'm going to add 19w to negative 3w, and add 12 to 3. So I end up with this equals 0. I had to do a little bit of scratch work to factor this one because the numbers were a little big. Remember the way that I happen to factor is I take 4 times 15 and write that. I have 60, bring down the 16, thinking of two numbers that multiply together to get 60 and add up to 16 are 6 and 10. Over a, over the number in front, so over 4, 6 over 4 simplifies to 3 halves, 10 over 4 simplifies to 5 halves. So this is going to end up factoring to 2w plus 3 multiplied by 2w plus 5. We've gone over factoring a million times, so I'm not going to say too much more about that. Okay, if two things multiply together to get 0, then we want to set each one of them equal to 0. And then I'm not going to show a lot of work here to get w by itself. We're going to subtract 3 and divide by 2. If I subtract 3 and divide by 2, then I end up getting negative 3 halves. Subtract 5, divide by 2, and I end up getting negative 5 halves. Anytime your original equation has a variable in the denominator, checking your answer, these answers here are not optional. So I want to make sure I check those, but really what I'm checking for is I don't want those to lead me to dividing by 0. So if I look back in the original for just what would the extraneous solutions be, if we let the W be -4 plus 4 is 0, and so -4 cannot be an answer. In this one here, 1 minus 1 is 0, so 1 cannot be an answer. Neither one of these is an extraneous answer, so I know that they're going to check out.